Welcome to the show. It's time to dive in. Talking sports with Evan. Let the fun begin. From the Brewers to the Packers, we cover it all. Wisconsin pride, we stand tall. The baggers on the field making history. With every touchdown, it's a victory. From Camp Randall to the court, we cheer loud. Wisconsin sports, we make our state proud. Feel the energy, the passion in the air. Join the conversation, we got stories to share. From the Bucks' big wins.
Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Well, unless you're a Brewer fan today, but happy Wednesday. This is Talking Sports with Evan. Alex Strouf is set to join us momentarily. Just waiting for him to jump on. The Brewer game decided to take forever as the San Francisco Giants decided to score 16 runs, most of them late in the game, which meant the game ran a little bit late. But he'll be jumping on momentarily. And I guess before he jumps on, what a loss. Like, what is it with going to San Francisco for the Brewers and playing like complete disaster? I guess is the only way to put it. 3 errors in that game. Couple errors. I think it was game 1 of the series. Like 2 out of the 3 games, the Brewers played uncharacteristically bad. And I just don't get it. It just seems to always be the way when they go out to San Francisco, they don't play well. And it's very frustrating. And I don't really understand why. And if the Brewers didn't have to go out to San Francisco again anytime soon, I would be grateful for it. And they don't have to anymore in 2026. But I can't say I look forward to playing in San Francisco next year with just the way the Brewers tend to play in San Francisco. But it was a tough one, 16-3. We got to see Andrew Vaughn pitch late in the game, which was a little interesting. Normally it's a Jake Bauers pitching, but maybe with the foot fracture, they didn't think he could throw from the mound and didn't want to give that opportunity. But game 1, Bauers had an error in the outfield. Mitchell had one today, and this game just had weirdness written all over it. When the Brewers announced a new starter for today, they're bringing up a guy from AAA who hasn't started for the Brewers at all this year. When they made that announcement and pushed the rotation back a day, you kind of had the impression that today was just going to be one of those days. Then you had an error in the outfield by Garrett Mitchell, one of the better outfielders in baseball, very good defensive center fielder, and he drops the ball, fielding error. Then he walked the next batter. Then a 3-run home run, and it just kind of went down from there. Now it was 3-2 for a while, but again, it just kind of went downhill from there. And then we had 7 runs allowed. So the Brewers made it a 3-2 game in the 4th. And then they gave up 7 runs in the 6th. They scored a run in the 7th. They gave up 3 more in the 8th. And in the 7th, and then 3 more in the 8th to eventually make it 16-3. And as I mentioned, we saw Andrew Vaughn give up 3 of those runs. And I hate to be one of those guys, but Aaron Ashby has not been very good recently. He was really good early in the year, and then he came under the break initially pretty good, but he's not been very good lately. And with that, going to bring Alex in. And I was talking about that disaster that you had the opportunity to engineer today. And what is it with San Francisco, Alex, about the Brewers playing like total garbage, I guess I'll say?
That was a nice way to put it, the last 3 nights. Yeah, I don't know. The pitching was bad today, and obviously the whole situation with everything that went down earlier today, right, with Shane Drone getting scratched, moved to Friday, giving him a little bit of extra rest, calling up a dude that hasn't pitched in the major leagues since 2023, but yet he was your best pitcher today, right? So Sometimes teams just have your numbers. And for a team that's going to be changing a lot in San Francisco, that is over the course of the next couple of days, because obviously, given the record, they're going to be selling with how young of a team and a first-year manager. They still play really hard, and they've played really well against the Brewers, obviously winning the season series today. I think that's 3 seasons in a row they've won the season series, oddly enough, against Milwaukee. But sometimes a team just has your number, and that seems to be the case here with the Giants and the Brewers.
And I think it's the 3rd year in a row the Brewers have gone out to San Francisco and completely laid an egg in most of those games too.
Yeah, but again, like I'm not. I was tweeting about this on Monday night with somebody. Like, I'm not too worried about it.
No,
in terms of the bats, right? The bats were better today than they were Monday. I think they only had 3 hits on Monday, but obviously last night we saw what they could do in a big win last night. So I'm not too terribly worried about it. I'm not too worried about the pitching today. I think the only real concern that you could walk away with today is, what is Aaron Ashby, right? And that's a conversation that Brewers fans have been having for a couple weeks now. Is okay, he sometimes he looks like the best pitcher that's ever been born, and sometimes he comes in, in situations with a 1-run lead, or today it was a 1-run deficit. And he just can't do anything. He allows 4 runs or 5 runs, whatever it was today. And that's something that you're allowed to be concerned about, especially as we get closer to the deadline and eventually the postseason. Because as we know, Pat Murphy loves Aaron Ashby, right? He loves putting him in games, in close game situations. And I don't know if you can rely on him in those situations at this point. Especially what we've seen over the last month.
And now he's back to what he was pre-All-Star break.
Yeah, right. But somehow, and I don't know if this still holds true, but at one point, as a reliever, leading the league in wins, right? So that means he's finding himself in close ball game situations where, maybe he loses the lead, but then the offense goes and gets him 1 or 2 back. So that's really the only thing I'm walking away from today's game going, that's what I'm concerned about. But from this series, otherwise, I don't know. I don't think it changes the urgency of what the Brewers should do, or whether or not they should do something at the deadline. I don't think that changes at all.
Yeah, I am concerned with Ashby. I have been for a while. He looked sharp again, as I said, coming out of the break, but now he's back to not being able to throw strikes again, and ended up biting him in the butt. And I think Garrett Mitchell, just 2 weeks ago, we're talking about how he's one of the hottest hitters on the team. He's 1 for his last 22.
Yeah.
Another concern there. Why can't he and Cheerio play good together at the same time? Because Cheerio's starting to hit again, but now Mitchell's slumping.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're just kind of all taking their turns until they all really turn it on at the end of September. Like Bryce Terang has been really good the last week, and I love the fact that Pat Murphy has been experimenting / moving him to that leadoff spot, which I've been calling for what feels like a month at this point. Either him or Churio leading off, but again, like, player slump. I think we've seen what Mitchell can be over the course of this season. 1 for his last 22, obviously concerning, but I'm not hitting the panic button quite yet on Garrett Mitchell.
No, you're in Los Angeles to play the Angels, not the Dodgers. The Angels. They do have a series coming up with the Dodgers as well, but hopefully that's a nice little palate cleanser for the Brewers, playing a team that just isn't very good, and another team that could look very different by Sunday.
A team that will look different maybe every game they play, right? I mean, starting Friday, they could make some moves Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They could have a completely different 9 out there come Sunday than they did on Friday. So, again, palate cleanser, yes, that's the right word. I think back to, you mentioned the All-Star break, that weekend prior to the All-Star break, when they're in Pittsburgh, they lose all 3. It's a series.
I remember that Sunday game.
I do too. We worked that one together on
that
one. So again, like, I'm not losing my mind for a team that 6 hours ago had the best record in baseball. Sometimes you lay an egg. Sometimes you lay a stinker, and that was certainly the case this week in San Francisco. I think you're right. A day off, get everybody rested. You'll have Jerome on extra rest, who has been a really nice surprise for this team come Friday, and hopefully that they're leaving LA on Sunday with a clean sweep, and all attention then turns to the rest of the season here in the month of August, which is coming up quick, and obviously the trade deadline on Monday.
Yeah, and again, I'm not, as I said, I'm not hitting the panic button either. I like to say, and one of my friends says I'm just making excuses for him, and I disagree. It's just sometimes that's just baseball, and that's just how baseball is. But Alex, appreciate you coming on ESPN Wisconsin, Mr. Irrelevant. Appreciate the being my supplier from the Door Peninsula Distillery and Winery. So
You're very welcome. Yes, I'm glad you secured your package that I was sent back with a week ago today when I was up there at Door County Distillery. But good to be here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. Didn't really give you much of an introduction, so I figured I should give people an introduction on, for those that don't know who you are. But you mentioned trade deadline. Trade deadline's coming up. And why does it seem like we see a team like the Yankees or the Phillies or, the Dodgers, when they talk about what they would have to give up for a trade, it's the, top 5 to 10 prospect in their system, maybe a top 50, and then a bucket of baseballs. And then with the Brewers, they have to give up their top 5 prospects plus anytime we talk about a trade. Like, why does it seem like the Brewers always get talked about how they have to trade even higher than, these larger market teams?
I guess I don't know that I've noticed that trend the way you have. Look, I think when we're talking about the trades that the Brewers are in the mix on, all the rumors that have been coming out, right? The Skubals, the Peraltas, the Mason Millers of the world, they're mentioned with those teams for a reason, right? The Dodgers and the teams with the largest payroll in the sport. And you're talking about the team with the 24th highest payroll in the same conversation as them. It's because you have the number 1 farm system. So when that's advertised as much as it is, of course, teams that are going to trade really good assets like a Miller or a Skubal, they're going to want a piece of that pie, right? So I don't have a problem with it. I guess I haven't noticed the trend like you have. It might be true. It might not be, right? I don't know as much about other teams' farm systems as I do the Brewers. And there's obviously several guys in the system right now that I think all of us are very protective of. Jesus Mate, obviously the number 1 example. I think he's untouchable. It seems like Andrew Fisher is becoming another one of those guys at AA Biloxi. But I don't know, Evan, right? Like, to be real honest with you, when it comes to what Monday brings, I don't know how much for me is off limits. Like, yeah. I don't know how much of a season we'll have next year. If a season, like, I assume we'll have a season. I don't know if it'll be 162 games. But secondly, like, I've said this to you several times over the course of the last few months, so I apologize for sounding like a broken record, but this team's better than last year's team. Yeah. And last year's team was 4 games away from the World Series. So I don't have a problem with pushing the chips in the middle of the table, which, of course, the Brewers will never do to full effect, right? They're not going to sell their entire farm system just for one bite at the apple this year. But if it's trading the number 3, the number 4 prospect to go get a rental like Skubal, that's showing the fan base you're pretty darn serious about winning right now, which you should feel like, right? Like, you should realize and be serious about winning right now.
Yeah. Now, I'm making this comment basing Cooper Pratt and Laura and Henderson to me are no longer quote unquote prospects.
Yeah, right.
They've all shown they deserve to play on this team and be a key component. But to me, the only 2 guys who I would not trade for any reason, Jesus Mate and Eric Fisher. Those 2 I wouldn't trade at all. Other people, yeah, I'll trade them. I know other people have different guys who they put in that untouchable, but in order to get high-quality players that you need to beat the Dodgers, you have to give up high-quality prospects. And to me, I see Mate and Fisher being 2 guys who I'm not giving up. And I'm definitely not giving up Logan Henderson. Like, he's shown that he should be in the starting rotation every day, and he's a name that keeps getting thrown around for Freddie Peralta, bringing Peralta back, for Miller, for Skubal. And it's like, no, I'm not trading a high-quality pitcher for a rental.
So, well, Miller, first off, isn't a rental.
Yeah,
he's
Miller's not a rental, but that was more for the Skubal piece.
Yeah, and Peralta obviously wouldn't be one either, but with the new contract. But for Skubal, sure. I guess let me ask you this, though. Do you want Tarek Skubal?
I would take him.
What would you give up for him?
Well, as I said, I think at the exception of Mate and Fisher, all the other guys in the farm system are available for it.
But no Henderson, and again, I think Pratt and Lara are viewed as untouchables, but I don't know that Henderson is in that case because I think that's an upgrade in the immediate.
It's immediate in the upgrade, but I think you right now you get I think the two best pitchers in the rotation with Harrison on the IL is Henderson and Mizorowski. I think those are the two best pitchers in the rotation. I know it's an upgrade, but you kind of downgrade the rotation a little bit until Harrison comes back.
Yeah, but Harrison, I mean, even prior to going on the IL, and I know he's throwing some rehab stints in Appleton this weekend, but he hasn't been great since June, right? I mean, ever since they played in Vegas almost 2 months ago, he's kind of been downhill. It obviously had a really nice start, but you're right. I mean, Henderson has been a really nice story. Drone's been a really nice story, but I feel more comfortable, which is not a crazy statement to say, obviously, but I feel more comfortable with Mizorowski and Skubal in any series as my top two guys than anybody else currently in the Brewers rotation. Now, to your point, is Henderson a really nice story and a good piece? Yeah. Could he be a really good pitcher? He's only a rookie, right? So, could he be a really good pitcher for the next decade? Maybe. He certainly could be. But is he as good as a guy who's, a back-to-back Cy Young Award winner? Probably not. I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying that. So, I mean, that's the hard part because I know your feeling is common amongst Brewers fans. They want to see a big swing on Monday, right? Or by Monday. They want to see the Brewers go out there and get one of these big fish and show the fan base, hey, we're very serious about winning a World Series right now. But on the other hand, you're like, but I want to be really good in 2033. I want to be really good in 2032. I don't want to pay the price for what it takes to go out and take a risk, right? Like these are not sure things. Skubal could come in and maybe he's just not what he was the last 2 years. I don't think that would be the case, but you understand my point, right?
Yeah,
like you go take the swing. So unfortunately, if you're going to go get one of these guys, I think Skubal's at the top of everybody's list, but Mason Miller, obviously from a relief pitcher standpoint, is a really attractive item. You got to pay some sort of a price. To use the term you used earlier, I don't think the Tigers are letting this guy walk for a bucket of baseballs. So it's one or the other. So it's either hey, hold steady or go all in. And unfortunately, I don't know how much of an in between there is, especially with some of the names we've listed.
Yeah, well, I saw this on X or Twitter, and I don't necessarily, it is what it is. But it's stating that the Tigers are apparently very interested in Pena, Pratt, Laura, Mitchell, Henderson, and Fisher. Now, that's not saying they have to give up all those guys to get Skubal. Those are just guys that they are apparently interested in. And out of that list, I would say Fisher and Henderson probably would have to give up one of those two to get it done. But Pena is the one that I would be willing to give up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Andrew Fisher's hit 33 home runs this year, if I'm not mistaken, in minor league ball, which leads every single minor leaguer. So, yeah, that guy can yam, and obviously he was a sweetheart of the World Baseball Classic earlier this year. Henderson's a great story, but, I mean, to go get a Skubal, yeah, I'm willing to do it.
Do you have anyone that you're not willing to trade?
I need to know who we're trading for, right? Like, I don't want a Lance McCullers deal where you're letting Henderson walk. I want a Cy Young Award winner. I want a CC Sabathia-esque trade if that's what you're going to go out and do. So, I mean, Jesus Mate, of course, at the top of that list. Andrew Fisher at the top of that list. Logan Henderson is high on that list. But again, it kind of depends what you're getting. You're going to have to pay some sort of a price, and it's not a good negotiating tactic to call up and say, hey, by the way, the four guys you probably want, you can't have. So we'll see. But also, like, who am I to doubt Matt Arnold's ability? Every trade he's ever done, he's won, I think. So, so I have faith in him. And here's where I'm at, frankly, Evan, is either he's going to get the Skubal thing done or it's going to be something the fan base is likely underwhelmed by. And maybe it works out because he's that good and the front office staff is that good at identifying talent and going out and fixing, whatever was wrong with a certain pitcher. We've seen them do it so many times over the course of the last few seasons. But, excuse me, I think it's either going to be they go out and they get this big fish or it's going to be, I think they're going to have action either way, but it might be, there's a guy I don't really know what his line of work is, right? Like, oh, he was the third starter for XYZ team. We'll see what happens, and maybe it works, but I don't know. I've been scarred so many times in the past, but also this team is better than teams in the past, so I'm not sure what to expect.
Well, they can always throw in a Sprout or a Crow instead of Henderson, just saying. And this is somebody that likes Sprout and thinks Sprout can be very good if he can get more consistent, but I digress. But if the Brewers don't make a huge splash move, are you going to be disappointed, or are you just going to be like, well, just got to get it done with what we got?
More so the latter, but I still think they're a piece or two away. So I'd like to see them go out and do something that gets me really revved up and excited. But I mean, I think they're at least NLCS good as they stand right now. Now, obviously, days like today are probably not the sexiest of days to say that about them, but I feel really good about a lot of their pieces. I'm really excited about all of the rookies that are up right now, and Henderson, Lara, and Pratt. I mean, they're a really good team. So, I think they're good enough. And I mean, you got to be lucky, you got to be healthy, you got to be good, right? So, come late September, early October, if they're checking all three of those boxes, I think they got a really good shot.
Yeah, and for those that, and I have, as I talked about, I have those that I do not want to trade no matter what. But for those that are refusing, and if they trade them, I'm not going to like set the world on fire. But I think there's a trade back in 2018 we can look at that the Brewers made that people were reacting like the world was on fire, and the only guy still playing professional baseball is the guy the Brewers have in Yelich.
Yeah,
what I think last I saw was playing for Arkansas football.
Right. I saw that as well. I mean, to your point, though, people were mad about that because prospects are prospects.
Section is very fun to read every January.
Yes, it is. The prospects are prospects for a reason, right? They're not MLB ready. And whether they're 19 years old or hitting 33 home runs, it's never a sure thing. So that's why I land in the camp of, I don't know, man, do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
If you're going to go get the proven thing in Tarek Skubal or Mason Miller or Freddie Peralta, it's a fun story. I'd be excited because everybody loves Freddie Peralta here in Milwaukee, but I'd be more excited about the other two.
Yeah. I would say there's been only a couple of occasions where I was steadfast in certain guys that we do not trade no matter what. And they're kind of opposite end of the spectrum. One was Corbin Burns, because his name was thrown around a lot as a possible trade piece. And the other one was Keston Hiura, which his rookie year, he made it seem like, because my thing is, I didn't want to give up either of those two for shortstop or with the Padres now. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? He was with Baltimore. But I didn't want to give up the guy nobody Brewer fans don't like.
Who's in Baltimore?
No, he's in San Diego now, but wasn't Baltimore.
Third baseman.
Yeah, third baseman.
Steps on people's feet.
Yeah. Anyways, I didn't want to trade for him for the fact that I'm a small market team. I have a pitcher that has a very good to good stuff that just needs to develop, and I wasn't giving up Burns for a rental because the Brewers can't afford to pay a 10-year, $400 million contract for a pitcher.
Right, Manny Machado, so we're thinking.
Machado, thank you.
Yeah.
I can remember his name.
Well, we hate him in Milwaukee, so it's fine if we forget his name. We don't think about him at all.
We did a few years back when there was talk about him being traded to Milwaukee.
Yeah, right. But, man, look, it's a wait and see at this point. We know what we want them to do. Will they do it? We'll find out by Monday night. But for now, I mean, the off day tomorrow, I'm sure Matt Arnold will not have the day off tomorrow, other than not even on his commute, right? I'm sure he's going to be working the phones nonstop between now and Monday, and they're going to make moves. It's just a matter of, are they to the level of what Jeff Passan and you and I think they should be? Yeah. That'll be determined. But fingers crossed that they realize how good they have it right now, how good they are right now, and hopefully they make something happen.
Before we jump to Packers and get your thoughts on training camp, you mentioned you think they're a couple pieces away.
Yeah.
What are those pieces? Is it starting pitching, relief pitching, a bat, all the above? Like what depth off the bench, a starter? Like what where you think they feel they're a piece of two away?
I think the main one is I'd love another lockdown starter, right? Because again, Logan Henderson's a rookie. I think he's a great story, and I think he'd be in the rotation if the playoffs started today, even if you add a starting pitcher. So starting pitcher is number one for me. And then the other two are kind of a toss-up. I think they could use one or the other, which is another relief pitcher would be great, especially with, obviously, we already had the conversation about Aaron Ashby, just throwing another guy in there. And likely one of your starters you have now, whether that's a Drowan, whoever that is, maybe it is Henderson. Somebody's working out of the bullpen come the playoffs. So you feel better there, but you could use one more there. And then like on the bat thing, yeah, but what are you getting? Is it Byron Buxton? Is that really reasonable? Is that really on the table for Milwaukee? So yeah, I'd love to see them get a big bat. I just kind of talked myself out of that because frankly, I do feel pretty good about some of these guys when it comes to a big swing in October. Jackson Chourio is another year older. Bryce Terang's bat's been better. Jake Bauers has been maybe the best story for Milwaukee this year, leading them in home runs. William Contreras obviously can still hit bombs, right? So they've got guys that can come up with a big swing at any moment that I feel pretty darn good about. So the bat probably third of the three you listed: starting pitcher, relief pitcher, bat. But of course, you could always use more bats. I mean, look at the Dodgers, for God's sakes. I feel like everybody 1 through 9 in their lineup can hit a home run at any given moment.
Well, I don't know if there's even somebody that can play third base out there. My thing is, if you can go find a third baseman, I know Joey Ortiz plays like Babe Ruth at third base, but if you can find a third baseman, Joey Ortiz now becomes that kind of utility infielder, and he's strengthening your bench that way.
I can't believe you're talking about maybe a guy who's going to be a first ballot Cooperstown guy at third base. I mean, Ortiz has been so good, and obviously he's had the last 2 days. He's had the last 2 days off, but I mean, he's been awesome at third base. It's really unbelievable what happens. And obviously, I imagine it's just a coincidence. I don't think it has anything to do with like his confidence level defensively translating to what he does at the plate. But it really is outstanding.
His rookie year, he played really good third base. Mm-hmm. And they moved him to shortstop. He's really bad for 2 years, and now this year he's playing really well.
It makes no sense to me. Well, half of this year, right? Because he started the year short.
Year and a half. A year and a half at shortstop, and now he's back at third, and he's Babe Ruth.
Right. Exactly. It makes no sense.
We look at the National League. Is the Cubs, the Braves, the Phillies, are they legit threats, or is it the Dodgers? The Dodgers is who they have to get by.
Yeah. I mean, you never take anybody lightly. But yeah, I mean, the Brewers have proven they're on the same echelon as the Dodgers, more so than those other guys. The Braves are tricky for me because I think the Braves are really good. So I'd probably say it's Dodgers, Brewers, Braves in that order, and then it's everybody else. That's not to say they can't lose a playoff series, because of course they can. It's baseball. You play the game for a reason. But I mean, if you were asking me right now who's in the NLCS, it's Dodgers, Brewers, and I feel pretty confident that happens 8 times out of 10.
I would say my biggest worry with the deadline is the Cubs trade for a starting pitcher or two. Because outside of starting pitching, that looks like a pretty good team this year.
Yeah, their bullpen's been up and down again this year, so we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, you're right. And obviously they have some bats. They have a good lineup. They've spent a lot of money.
Very good defense.
Terrific defensively, especially that center fielder who we will leave unnamed, who I am not a fan of. But yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about the Cubs just because it feels like ever since Craig Counsell's taken that job, the Brewers have really had their number.
Yeah. Now, moving on to training camp, Packers training camp started. Today is day number 1.
Yeah.
What are your expectations on the 2026 team going into day 1 of training camp? All right, that's technically day 2 now.
Yeah. Well, the end of day 1. I think they're a team that's good to really good and on the precipice of being great. I think health was a big reason for their end of season shortcomings last year. I think this is a year where I feel pretty confident that Matt LaFleur realizes he probably play called more not to lose than he did to win. And you know, he's known for saying back in the day, all gas, no bleep and break. And I feel like we didn't really see a ton of that, especially down the stretch last year. I think they have a top 10, top 7 quarterback in the league who's only going to further that narrative this year. And obviously, we'll see what this defense is under a first-year coordinator. But I think I think they should be viewed as the best team in the NFC North. They should be viewed as one of the best teams in the NFC, especially when it comes down to it in December and they're, back with Micah Parsons and Tucker Kraft, has his leg. Both of them have their legs back under them. I mean, those are two of their 3 or 4 best players that they lost down the stretch last year. So I think they're really good. I don't have a ton of concerns about this team as a whole right now. Obviously we can nitpick and talk offensive line and talk cornerback and talk kicking battle, but again, I think some of those things are a little overblown for how good this team can be.
Yeah. I think the one position that I think nobody's talking about, or people are starting to talk about now, but no people are talking about, that's a huge concern for me, is running back. Because we don't know what's going to happen with Josh Jacobs, plus his health was an issue last year. And I think Emmanuel Wilson's still on the not Emmanuel Wilson, he's gone. Sorry,
Marshawn Lloyd
is still on the milk cartons. His picture's still there, looking for. If you see him, please send him to Green Bay, because he's been on the IL or IR more than he has been playing.
Yeah, he's played one game in his NFL career.
You lose Wilson,
and his third season. Yeah,
you lose Wilson, and now you have Brooks, who's a third down back, Jacobs, who might be suspended or might not be. I don't know anymore.
I don't either.
Off injured Lloyd. And that's your running back room right now.
Yeah, we're not going to know anything on Jacobs until we know something.
Yeah.
As cliche as that is, we just won't. They're going to operate like he's available until he's not. And, I'm not as concerned, I guess, as you are in terms of his health. Obviously, he was banged up last year, no doubt about that. But he's been a durable back throughout his career. I think he'll have less usage in both early season and early downs. This has to be the year that you put the ball in Jordan Love's hands as much as possible. And if Marshawn Lloyd is healthy, I think he can be a really nice tool for this offense. But the key word in the sentence I just said is if he's healthy, right? And to your point, this will be his 3rd season. He's played 1 game. Those statistics are not very good. But in terms of his skill set, everybody raved about him. He was a day 2 pick for a reason. So if he's healthy, I actually feel really good about that room, but there's a lot of ifs, right? If Jacobs is not suspended, if Marshawn Lloyd is healthy, I like Chris Brooks, but to your point, he's your third back. He's kind of a glorified fullback. He's good in pass pro. He can be a weapon when need be, but I don't think he's Emmanuel Wilson. So we'll see, but I'm really not that concerned about that position group, especially just, with the positivity around Marshawn Lloyd right now. And then secondly, just the curiosity and the uncertainty around Josh Jacobs' legal proceedings. We'll have to wait and see on that. But as of now, Packers are operating like they'll have them. So we will see.
Yeah. So I'm not an attorney, not in law enforcement. I do work closely with the legal system and my real job, as I'll call it. And I just know that things take a lot of time. I don't know the adult system like I do the juvenile system, but I just know from experience that things take time, and investigations take time, and DAs looking things over take time. And I just kind of wish it was kind of similar how it is in the juvenile system, is we send a referral to the DA. They got 20 days to make a decision, not 20 months later, but that's besides the point. Had you on right when they hired Halfley, I think right before I hit go live.
Yeah, it happened while we were live together. That's right. Yeah.
It's just about literally to hit go live. But now Halfley's the head coach in Miami. Gannon's the defensive coordinator now. Didn't really get a chance to ask you, what was your thought on that hire?
I liked it. I was pretty clear on what I wanted this offseason from Green Bay, and I wanted failed head coaches as coordinators. Now, they didn't make a change at offensive coordinator. I thought they were going to. It's hard to find special teams coordinators in the league that have been head coaches, but Cam Achord has had some success as a special teams coordinator, has had some failures as a special teams coordinator, but he's been around the game for a long time. So I was happy with that hire. I think special teams coordinators are mostly overblown. Rich Bisaccia was the highest paid one in the league. I think that's why he got so much blowback on the special team struggles.
Now he's in college.
Right. Now he ran away. But the defensive coordinator one, though, no, I was happy with it. I thought he checked a lot of boxes. He's coached in a Super Bowl. He's coached a Super Bowl defense. He's a failed head coach. He knows what it's like to lead a locker room, albeit not that well, given the lack of games he won. Yeah, he's a little awkward in front of a microphone, but I care about what products he puts on the football field. And to see some of the moves they made this offseason, to bring in Javon Hargrave, who obviously he had some experience with in Philadelphia, to bring in Zaire Franklin, who he had some experience with in Indianapolis. I like this hire of Jonathan Gannon. I was a fan of it. So I'm curious to see exactly what the defense will be. But, I mean, I don't know how you're a Packers fan and don't feel anything but really good about every level of this defense, right? Like at the defensive line, obviously when he's healthy, you have one of the top 3 defensive players in the league in Micah Parsons. I feel good about what they have going on across the line now. I feel good about Devontae Wyatt. I feel good about Javon Hargrave. I feel good about some of those young up-and-comers on the edge. I'm curious to see if LVN finally takes that next step, which we've been wishing for a couple of years. At linebacker, you bring in Zaire Franklin, who's going to be your green dot, but the guy you're going to cut loose and probably move all over the place is Edgerrin Cooper. And then you sign Isaiah McDuffie to a contract extension, who's just like a really good third linebacker for any team in the NFL. So you're happy about that. The Packers are the best safety group in the National Football League in Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, and Javon Bullard, who plays more corner technically, but he can kind of fly all over the field no matter where you need him and plug and play. So I mean, you have to feel good about every level of this defense. So Jonathan Gannon's got a lot of tools at his dispense, and it's just a matter of how he uses them.
I think corner is probably the easy answer, but is there any place that kind of has you worried about the defense? And I'm probably already
answered. Yeah, it's the easy answer because again, as we just ran through, it's the only answer. I feel pretty good about every other group, right? Like I'm curious what the snap breakdown will be at edge rusher when Mike is not there. I'm curious who's filling that role, but I'm not super worried about it, right? I think those are different things. I'm curious. I'm not worried. We're at corner, and this goes back to the Micah effect. Your corners look a hell of a lot better when you're getting pressure after the opposing quarterback quickly. And we saw that, right? Like Keyshawn Nixon, despite his penalty troubles, was not a huge liability last year until Micah went down. And Carrington Valentine wasn't a big liability.
Holding or pass interference, his penalties were him usually doing something stupid, drawing a 15-yarder. But that's
correct. Yeah, that's neither here nor there. But well, I guess it is here and there actually because I just mentioned it. But yeah, so if you're generating pressure, which hopefully that's what Jonathan Gannon's here for, you can cover up the shortcomings and maybe the fact that you don't have a top 32 corner in the league. But I'm curious what Keyshawn Nixon is this year. I'm curious what Carrington Valentine is this year. I mean, Carrington Valentine obviously has been an awesome story. He's a 7th-round pick. He started a bunch of games when Jair Alexander went down, but he couldn't tackle last year. I mean, that was the big problem with him. He struggled with tackling. Is that something he can fix and get better at this year? Hopefully, we will see. But I'm not as worried as others seem to be about the corner position. Is my really long way of answering that question.
I'm interested to see what the rookie does. And St. Juice, is that his name?
Yeah, Benjamin St. Juice. I don't know how often we'll see him, to be honest. He's going to be a rotational corner. Yeah, Brandon Cisse, their 2nd-round pick. It's interesting. He's young. I don't know that he's a day one starter, but he's going to get snaps because there's just not a ton of people in front of him. It kind of reminds me of like Evan Williams and Javon Bullard, their rookie season, when they rebuilt that safety group. They got rid of Darnell Savage. They brought in Xavier McKinney in free agency, and they drafted 3 safeties that year. Cisse feels kind of similar to that, obviously a little bit different because they had these guys here, but he's going to have opportunity to make an impact and stay on the field. So we will see if he's able to do that. But, I don't know how much you can learn without pads on. I'm excited to see him in preseason a little bit, but come week 1, we'll see how many snaps Cisse is playing. But I know that's a guy in 1265 in the building that people are excited about.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't look like Antoine Edwards in pads. And if you need that reference point, go talk to Chewy. Go talk to him. I think he was a guy that he said that he just knew from day one that this guy wasn't going to be.
Didn't have it. Yeah, that certainly is not seemingly not the case with Cisse. But again, it remains to be seen come week 1.
Offensively, I know offensive line is concerned, but where are you at on this offense overall?
I think you just nailed it. I mean, that is the offensive line will dictate how far this offense goes. It's as simple as that, because I feel very good about their quarterback. I feel really good about their pass catchers, although they lied to us for 2 or 3 seasons straight by saying our superpower is how deep we are. That was a lie, and they admitted that was a lie this offseason by letting Romeo Doubs walk and trading Dontavian Wicks. And what have they done since? They've extended everybody, right? They've extended Reed. They've extended Watson. They talked today. Gutekunst talked today about the plan before week 1 is to extend Tucker Kraft. Luke Musgrave might not be on this team, right, as a former second-round pick. So the crap that their superpower was their depth and how they had limitless weapons was baloney. They've admitted that. They've corrected that. And I think they have really good weapons. So and we talked about the running back room already. I feel good about them if they're both full go. The offensive line obviously is the bugaboo. How good is Jordan Morgan as a former first-round pick at left tackle? Can the dude he paid a bunch of money to at left guard play better and stay healthy than he did a year ago? Can the center that only played 7 games at center last year, who you signed to not a big contract, but a nice contract this offseason, can he improve even further upon his work after 7 games last year? Who's your right guard? Is it Jagger Burton, the 5th-round pick this year, or Anthony Belton, the 2nd-round pick from last year, who did a fine job? And right tackle, can Zach Tom be healthy? Those are the big questions.
Unfortunately, I think Burton left practice.
He did, yeah.
So hopefully it's nothing serious.
Yeah, it didn't sound too serious. He took the rest of the practice off. I imagine we might not see him until next week. But again, I don't even know what it was.
Felt something in his hamstring, according to Matt Schneidman.
Okay, so we'll see. We'll see on what that is. But I mean, those are the big questions. It's not great when all 5 of the guys on our offensive line have questions, because I think if we think back to a decade ago, right, it was like, oh yeah, David Bakhtiari is the best left tackle in football. Brian Bulaga is a reliable right tackle. Your guards and TJ Lang and Josh Sitton are awesome. Corey Lindsley is a rock star center. Right? You didn't have questions like that. Yeah. Whereas, a decade later you do.
And I think the reason why you got questions is just part of it is the youth, because Morgan hasn't played a lot of reps. Belton hasn't played a lot of reps. Yeager is a rookie. Sean Ryan hasn't played a lot of reps at center. So if everything can, be cohesive, I think the offensive line is going to be fine. And Morgan's feet aren't the issue. It's going to be, can he not get overwhelmed by power rushers? That's going to be the issue for him.
Yeah.
And now he's going to continue to see one in LA.
Yeah, certainly is. Come that Wednesday before Thanksgiving. But I mean, he's going to see guys before that too. I mean, they've got some tough defenses on their schedule, so we'll find out real fast who Jordan Morgan is at left tackle. The reviews this offseason have been positive, but we'll see come week 1.
Yeah, as you stated, it's not going to matter until you put the pads on. In reality, it's not going to matter until you play week 1, just because he's going to be going up against not Myles Garrett in practice. He's not going to be going up against Micah Parsons in practice either, because, hey, he's going to be out for the first 4 to 6 weeks. So when do you think we see Parsons? Is it going to be week 6 to week 8 range, or could it be sooner than that? I know he's going to be probably out the first 4 weeks for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, I'd love to see him come back week 5, but who knows? I don't know. It seems like there's mixed reviews. There's mixed reports. The sooner the better, and obviously it'll take some time to ease him in, because he's not going to be 100% the day he comes back. But you're obviously a better team with him available than you are without him available. So I would hope before midseason would be the hope. But my bigger hope is he's healthy in week what would that be, week 19, aka wild card weekend, or if you're the 1 seed divisional weekend. Than I do week 6. So I don't have an answer. I just hope he stays healthy.
And Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted him gone. I know a couple long-term beat writers wrote articles that it was time for him to go after the Bear loss. Social media is not very happy he's back, especially not very happy with the fact that nobody knows for certain how long his contract is even for. What are your expectations for Matt LaFleur this year?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it before. I think he realizes the unhappiness of the fan base. I think he realizes the fact that what happened last year wasn't acceptable. You can't melt down multiple times the way you melted down, especially to Chicago twice.
Almost 3 times because the Bears had the interception in the end zone the first time.
Right. So I like Matt LaFleur. I've been a Matt LaFleur defender. I think he would have been the best head coach on the market had he been fired. So I think, despite the cushy contract extension, I don't think it's as simple as, oh, you're being rewarded, right? Like I think he realizes last year wasn't good enough and there were some problems last year. I think he realizes that Jordan Love has taken some massive steps and this needs to be his offense rather than, Josh Jacobs. Everything we do is conform to Josh Jacobs' preferences. So my expectations are, we talked about it at the beginning of the conversation. I think this is a really good team. I think it's a playoff team. I think this is a division-winning team. And they can be one of the best offenses in football, but it all comes back to that offensive line. And can they keep Jordan Love upright? Do they give him enough time to throw? And can they come through for them, in those running situations? So I feel good about LaFleur. I'm fine. He's back on a contract extension, but this is a big year. If they don't make the playoffs, I would be shocked if he was back in 27.
So, were you surprised, other than hiring a wide receivers coach and having to obviously replace a couple guys on the offensive staff for guys that left? Are you surprised you didn't make any additional changes? I know Butkus was one that a lot of people were really low on. The Senovich, everyone wanted him either moved back to O-line coach or fired altogether. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I was surprised by it, but again, it's his offense. He's the play caller. So, there's obviously some lack of development, specifically at offensive line, that you should be aware of and concerned about. But I really thought they were going to get rid of all three coordinators. I didn't think LaFleur would be the scapegoat. I thought all three coordinators would be. And it played out in such a weird way, right? Hafley gets hired as a head coach. Bisaccia leaves on his own accord, no pun intended. And they keep the offensive coordinator. So none of them were fired. I thought it was going to be LaFleur will keep you, but it's time to put some new guys around you. But now they've had all offseason to work together, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the one thing that really bugged me with LaFleur this offseason is the whole Bisaccia situation in general. Like, make a decision. Like, he waited until the coach said, I'm out of here, rather than just making a decision. And he kind of the same thing happened a couple years prior to that with the special teams coach they had, who was the scapegoat for the San Francisco debacle. He waited like several weeks before he finally made a decision. So that's the one change I hope to find in Matt LaFleur this series. He makes decisions quicker.
Yeah. The Bisaccia one wasn't his decision, though, right? Like, the decision was to bring him back. So I understand why it bothered you. It was weird how it played out, really strange, but it is what it is at this point, man. It's all steam ahead to 26.
Yeah, and part of me does wonder if, because I don't know if he was hoping he would just say he's retiring or what, but I don't know. It's just like, that's the one. Again, I hope LaFleur is more decisive in his decision-making on the field than he has been the past couple of years, and I hope it carries over into an example. Let's get the ball into your first-round rookie wide receiver, not rookie anymore, your first-round wide receiver's hands more frequently.
Yeah,
they kind of set that up though with letting Romeo Doubs leave, trading Wicks, and now you're kind of setting it up that he's going to be a lot more involved.
Oh, of course, yeah, definitely. That was the whole plan. I think the plan was to ease him in last year, and both Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur at different points in the season said he wasn't catching on as fast as they would have liked. So there's probably some blame to go towards Matthew Golden, but then you saw it in the playoff game when they finally put the ball in his hands, what he can do with the ball in his hands. So I think everybody was disappointed by the lack of Matthew Golden involvement throughout the season last year. There was times where it felt like Savion Williams was getting more opportunity than he was. Do not think that will be the case this year, because I would imagine in terms of snap count, I would guess at wide receiver, Golden probably plays the second most snaps, just because Reed isn't as versatile in terms of where he can line up. I think Reed will be huge. I think Reed realistically could be your leading receiver in terms of yards this season. But I would guess in terms of snap count, it's going to be a lot of Watson and Golden with a lot of Reed, obviously, in there as well, and 3 wide receiver sets.
I think it's safe to say their top 4 receivers are going to be the 3 you just mentioned and Tucker Kraft. I think John Williams will get some playing time here and there. If Luke Musgrave's neck isn't a problem.
Luke Musgrave won't be on the roster, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think he will either.
But Bo Melton's a guy we're not talking about. Bo Melton's a full-blown wide receiver again. And
watch him play corner this year now as a wide receiver.
Right, exactly. Right, yeah.
Watch him do the opposite.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's a great point by you. I mean, there's other emergency guys, right? Like there's emergency quarterbacks on every roster. Bo Melton's your emergency corner, so it's a fair point. But like he's a guy who's going to get some run too, no doubt.
I just hope it's not over Golden. That's really
it won't be. It won't be.
I really hope it's not. Golden would have had a touchdown much earlier in the year if it wasn't for Dontavion Wicks running the wrong route. The Dallas tie, that pass was intended for Golden. Wicks was in the wrong spot, and I think if Wicks isn't there, I think Golden is able to get the separation needed for a score instead of 2 guys going up fighting for the same ball. But that's not a problem anymore because Wicks is now in Philadelphia, and I think that was Wicks' biggest issue is – there's sometimes he looked like the next Devontae Adams. Next time he didn't look like he put the effort and work in to be the next Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Little things add up to big things. But final thoughts on this episode, this show regarding the Packers. Do you see them as a Super Bowl team this year, or do you see them as it's still too many what ifs at the moment?
No, I mean, I think they're right in the conversation. The NFC is really good, man. And the NFC North's really good. This is a division that's going to beat up on each other. You got to look at the Rams as the favorite, just for obvious reasons. They have the reigning MVP. They have the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. They have 2 really, really good wide receivers, one of which we know very well in Green Bay. But I think the Rams are the front runners. Yeah, and obviously in their division is the reigning Super Bowl champs. The Eagles will be good again. I'm curious to see what the NFC South brings, but yeah, they're definitely in the conversation. It's on Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, right? Like, are you finally going to let Jordan Love be the guy offensively, like Aaron Rodgers was for so many years for this offense? But even under Matt LaFleur, if you think back to 19, 20, 21, it was Rodgers' offense. It wasn't Aaron Jones' offense. It wasn't a combination of those 2. It was Rodgers' offense. And that's what it needs to be for Jordan Love in 26. And I think they can go really far if that's the case.
Now, final question. I just thought of this when you mentioned the playoffs in the NFC and all.
Go ahead.
There's always 1 or 2 teams that miss the playoffs after being in the playoffs. In the AFC, you had last year in the playoffs, Steelers, Texans, Bills, Jaguars, Patriots, Chargers, and obviously the Broncos. Mm-hmm. Out of those teams, do you see any of those teams missing the playoffs this year?
Yeah, it kind of pains me to say it, but the Steelers are the obvious pick in Aaron Rodgers' final season. They have to be the obvious pick there.
Ravens should be better if they're healthy.
And Bengals should be better if they're healthy, right? And that's a good
about them.
That's a good division. So Steelers are the obvious pick. The Broncos intrigue me. Like, is Bo Nix as good as we thought he was at points of last season? Is that defense as good as we thought they were at points of last season? So the Broncos intrigue me, and that's such a good division with the Chargers and Chiefs in there, because the Chiefs will be better, obviously, this year. So those would be the 2 in the AFC. If you made me pick 2, those would be my 2 picks. I would go Steelers, Broncos.
Now we look at the NFC. We have Seattle, Carolina, the Los Angeles Rams, the Eagles, the 49ers, the Packers, and the Bears. Any of those teams that are likely not making it this year?
Again, there's
the NFC North supposed to be really good.
Yeah. They're going to beat up on each other, and so is the NFC West. The obvious pick is the Panthers, and then just because I want to do it, I'll say the Bears, because I think the Lions are back in the mix. But that's probably just more of a me problem than anything else.
Yeah, I think the NFC South is going to come down to Seattle. Not Seattle. Sorry, I was looking at Seattle on my screen. I think the Panthers and the Buccaneers. If I think those are the teams it's going to come down to. But I think the Saints might be a surprise.
I was just about to say the same thing, man. Like I'm a Tyler Shuck believer. And by the way, like I'm not ruling out. Now, granted, I don't know how much I'm believing in Atlanta, given that Tua Tagovailoa is their quarterback more than likely. But like Atlanta's got some weapons, man. They got Bijan. They've got Kyle Pitts. They've got London. Like offensively, Tua's walking into a nice situation. Now that hasn't worked out for him in Miami in the past, but.
Right now, Cooper Rush, because both Tua and Penix are hurt, but yeah.
Fair enough. Well, Cooper Rush, I believe a little bit less in than I do Tua, but only a little bit. So we will see. But yeah, I'm with you on New Orleans. So NFC South, it probably won't be a very sexy division in terms of win total, but it could be entertaining.
And I wouldn't be surprised if, when you look at the NFC, the makeup, you had 3 teams from the West, 2 teams from the North, and then the other division winners. 2 years ago, it was 3 teams from the North, and I think 2 teams from the South. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing either 3 teams, basically either the 3 teams again from the West or 3 teams from the North. I don't know why I said South. I meant West, but you know what I meant.
I know what you meant. Yeah, I wouldn't be either. But it's just a matter of how much A, teams beat up on each other, and B, like, does the NFC East have 3 teams that are viable for it? Right? Like, if
Cowboys might be a sleeper team, to be honest, this year.
What about the Commanders, man? They were in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago with a rookie quarterback. So NFC's good. The NFC's good. And obviously there's always going to be a surprise team or two. So we will see. But I feel good about where the Packers are at the very least.
Yeah, my team missing the playoffs in the West is really probably going to surprise you. I kind of agree with Pittsburgh, but I think Denver.
Yeah.
You have the Chargers in that division, the Chiefs, if Mahomes is healthy, they're in that division.
Doesn't surprise me one bit, considering I agree with you. So, yeah.
Raiders should be a better team this year. So don't be surprised if the Broncos aren't the 1 seed like they were last year if they make the playoffs.
No.
And the Patriots, I think them and the Bills might flip. I think Patriots are going to have that Super Bowl hangover, and they may be a 6 seed instead of a 2 seed, and Buffalo might be that too.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm intrigued. I can't wait. I mean, today gives me the ultimate itch for football season. Yeah. Seeing everybody arrive for camp, seeing all the tweets about rookies and stuff, it gives me the ultimate itch. But we're it's coming up real fast, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and you like what the Ravens did though? They hired a new I don't know if it's PA guy or voice of the Ravens. They hired a new guy, and they had him standing outside the locker room as guys were walking in announcing them. You think that was kind of cool?
Yeah, I love that. I thought that was awesome.
I thought it was too. Well, appreciate you coming on. Always fun talking sports with you. I know we get to do it actually more frequently now than we used to, but it used to not be enough, but now we get to do more frequently. But we don't get to do it this style too often anymore.
No, you're right. It seems like I get about an annual hour on talking sports with Evan, but it's always.
I would definitely like to make it more frequently, but you're very busy person. I'm a very busy person. So
that's how it goes sometimes, but always a treat, buddy. And we'll do it again soon. All right.
Yep, definitely. Well, the podcast version will drop tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Otherwise you can find it on YouTube, Talking Sports with Evan, and on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, at Evan with Sports. Until next week, hope everyone has a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you all later.